One play to win it.
Here we go, on one. Say hi.
This is it.
Wide 80. Wide 80 set. Yes! Yes!
Touchdown, Pittsburgh! And the Pittsburgh Maulers are going to get their first victory of the season on the final play of the game.
Way to respond, Tay.
Vad Lee a week ago was at home watching football on television. Gets signed by the Maulers, comes in and practices all week, and leads them to their first victory of the season.
On the path that I walk is purpose in it. If I'm driven by the spirit that's in me, I'm bound to win it. I think that hope is more tangible than was given. Developed through the process, some things ain't common sense. Purpose driven living, that's the motto. Purpose driven living, that's the motto.
Looking to take a shot up top. Wide open. Touchdown Yellow Jackets, they're back in it.
That's the motto. Purpose driven living, that's the motto. If God orders my steps, then I'ma follow. We just do with the gifts that we own.
3rd and goal. Lee with time. Now on the run. He'll tuck it. Lee, touchdown!
You know, I'm here for all the guys who are working hard, all the guys who want an opportunity. Man, just keep working. Don't quit. I was so close to quitting so many times, you know, but I'm here and I don't have nothing to lose. I'm just going out and hoping that we can get this win.
This life is all about the faith with the little you have. Listen, time ticking, I'm wishing, I'm tripping. Waiting for my hand out, but now my mind different. Grinding.
Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Vad Lee, and I'm here on the Popcast. You know what POP stands for? Purpose over position. Man, I've been doing these tours, going to speak to different teams. My biggest one was Clemson so far. Other people are calling, and I'm really excited about this season to really just share an encouraging message to athletes and in particular those who are going through tough times, injuries, and all of that good stuff. Purpose over position is everything to me because it was a word from God that really helped me to overcome my situation and my story of transitioning from injury and still trying to play ball and trying to do life, trying to figure out life, right? And purpose over position means a lot. So that's why we started the Popcast, because we know that you have a story. We know that every athlete has a story. Every athlete has to overcome some type of tragedy, some type of trauma, right? Whether it's in your family, whether it's on the field, on the court, on the track, wherever it is, we know that it takes unbelievable effort, unbelievable amount of overcoming to get to the point where you are today. So I want to salute every athlete that's out there, and I want to encourage you that you are here on purpose and to utilize your position of athletics for something totally great, for something eternal that won't stop when the jersey come off. So I want to encourage you with that. I want to introduce you to my guest, Adam Smith. Adam and I had an opportunity to talk last week. Adam is a phenomenal dude. He's from North Carolina, and we actually got to play each other in high school. He's a year under me. But Adam plays professional football. He's been playing professional football in the Arena League for quite some time now, I think over 4 years. And Adam is dealing with a heart condition that's rare. And he decided to press through and play through it. And actually, the Popcast is the first time that he's going public with his heart condition. And I just encourage you guys to watch this because it's an amazing story, first of all, but also this was his best season ever playing football. Man, you go from starting the year with a heart condition to the doctor saying, hey, you can't play football anymore, to now saying, you know what, I have enough faith to continue to press through it. I'm going to keep going. And he had his best season yet. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Vad Lee. If you don't know me, you probably know me if you're watching this. But my name is Vad Lee. So excited that you tuned in today. This is the POP Podcast. POP stands for Purpose Over Position. Purpose over position is a word that literally God gave me my senior year. When I went down with an injury at James Madison University, I was having an unbelievable career there, on the verge of getting drafted and all those good things. And then I experienced an injury. And during that injury, you know, I realized that, man, this game can be snatched away from you, right? And I also realized so can life, right? And life is not guaranteed every day. So you know, when we play ball or when we play sports or at the job or whatever you're doing, whatever your position is, there's always greater purpose there for you. If you just look at the eternal value, the internal, what God is doing versus what man is doing and what the earth is doing, then you can truly live out your purpose in life. And I just want to bring Adam on now. Adam, can you say what's up to the people?
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Very glad to be here. Thank you, a great friend Vad, bringing me on just to talk about a good message and help some people out.
Yeah, man. So Adam is a professional athlete. He plays for the Carolina Cobras in the NAL Arena League. Not too long ago, maybe a month ago, you just played for the NAL championship. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was great. It was our second straight year in the championship, so it was a really good experience. We got to go play down in Jacksonville against the Jacksonville Sharks. They've got a really good history in playing arena football. They've been around for over a decade now, so that was the place I wanted to play a championship. It's not at home, so it was a really good experience, really emotional experience for me. We did come up short by one score, but getting to the championships obviously an accomplishment. So definitely enjoyable and a weekend night I'll never forget.
So for my viewers that may not be familiar with the game, arena game, can you just tell us the nuances and intricacies that goes into playing? You guys got the wall, you guys got the the net on the goalpost. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so when people don't know about arena football, I explain it to them pretty quickly by just saying that the field is a quarter of the size of a regular outdoor football field. So a regular outdoor football field is 53 and a third yard wide and 100 yards long with the 10-yard end zones. Arena football, our field is 50 yards long with generally an 8-yard end zone. Some of them are curved, some are not. And I believe it's about 27 or 28 yards wide. So much smaller field, only 8 players on the field for each team at a time. No sidelines. You have a hockey wall with dasher pads on it. And at the back of each end zone, you have a field goal post that is actually, I believe it's half the width and 5 feet higher than a regular outdoor goal post.
Wow.
With nets attached. So if a kick is missed, you can catch the kick off the nets and return it.
Wow, that sounds like a lot. It sounds different, right? But you guys have been, the Arena League has been going, the NAL has been going on for how long now, you know?
The National Arena League started in 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So it's been going strong for a little bit. Well, before we get too deep, let's talk a little bit about just how we met and kind of connected. So Adam and I, you went to Davie County,
Yes.
right? If you guys followed Hillside High School, right? If you followed Hillside High School in 2010, then you know that we won the state championship, went 16-0, and played in the state championship game at Wake Forest. And in that state championship game, we played against, what were you guys, like 6 and like what was y'all's record?
I think we went into the playoffs at 6-5.
Wow, 6-5, and then probably when we met, I guess you guys, when we played against each other, was what, 8-5 or something like that.
I think we 9-5 or 9-6, something like that.
Yeah. So you're talking about this 15-0 team versus this Cinderella, right? This Cinderella team, right? Trying to beat an undefeated team. Just talk to us about that game a little bit and just what you remember.
Yeah. The game itself was just not great for us. It was, if anybody looks it up, I'm just going to cut your search short. It was 40-0 at halftime, and that was the same score at the end of the game. So,
which is like kind of like it's a really bad thing, right? But it's also kind of like a positive a little bit because we couldn't score in the second half. You guys shut us out.
Yes, and I do tell people that y'all did not pull back in the second half until maybe like 3 minutes left.
For sure.
But no, it was awesome. That's what all, especially in the South, football teams are thinking of growing up. When you're playing football for Little League and middle school or whoever you play for, Pop Warner, you see the high schoolers that you're looking up to, and you just want to play in a state championship.
For sure.
And for us, Davie County had never been in a state championship. So we were 30 minutes from home getting to play at Wake Forest, so it was truly a home game for us. We got
you guys had a lot of people there.
Mhm.
I remember that.
Yes, so it was great. I remember coming out to warm up in the stadium, and our other quarterback and myself were the first ones out there. And you just look at this empty, the biggest stadium we had ever played in up until that point.
Wow.
And you're just like, wow, we're here.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go very well. This guy named Vad Lee comes out and throws like a 50, 60-yard touchdown the second or third play of the game. So, but no, it was awesome, and got to play against a group or a team full of dogs.
Hey man, we were definitely full of dogs. All in 2010 16-0 state champ. That's a plug for you to type in YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in Hillside High School 2010 state championship. It's almost like a little mini documentary. You guys will want to check that out. But I love how you mentioned the South. I had a teammate recently tried to argue with me that North Carolina was not considered the South. like we're the South, right?
I think for sure.
Okay.
I think the South stops like mid-Virginia.
Okay. Yes.
That's always been my opinion.
I'm in alignment with that. Yeah, and we're not gonna go too much into that. I just want to make sure we all understand that North Carolina is a part of the South, and I think North Carolina is one of those sleeper states when it comes to talent as well. Especially when it comes to football talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, of course, North Carolina's always been known for basketball,
Absolutely.
being the hoop state.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, all those good guys.
Right. But I think with the way Charlotte was around in the early 2000s, and now how a lot of other places are kind of rising up. So Greensboro, Durham, Raleigh, a lot of teams are kind of coming up to be pretty solid powerhouses and been strong for a long time. So
yeah,
and you're seeing more players sustain a career in the NFL and professional leagues as well. So yeah, I mean, I love calling North Carolina home, especially when it comes to being an athlete and a former athlete.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about how recruiting went for you. What year did you graduate high school, and just talk about recruiting a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Graduated in 2012, and I played the year we played against each other. I mainly played corner. Wasn't playing quarterback, but quarterback was the position I played my whole life. And so going to the state championship, I had a really good playoff run as a corner. That helped me get into the recruiting circuit.
Okay.
I was running fast. I had film that would intrigue people enough to bring me into a summer camp. So went to those, had really good 40s, and I was a small guy. At that time, I was maybe 5'10", 150, 155. So I didn't have the look for any schools to throw money at me.
Yeah.
So it was going to be my speed. It was going to be playmaking ability, things like that. So once I got into my senior year, played quarterback and played corner. And my dream was to play quarterback. So I either wanted to get a full scholarship and I would go play whatever position they asked, or I wanted to go play quarterback at a place where I could play right away.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for a big status. I was looking for the opportunity to get in and play right now, because at the end of the day, that's all I wanted to do was play. It didn't matter who was watching, didn't matter how big the crowd was, the stadium, the sponsor, like none of that. I just wanted to play football.
Yeah, you had some preferred walk-on opportunities at some bigger schools, right? What advice would you give guys who may be on that bubble like you were, right? They have the preferred walk-on opportunities, but they might have some scholarships at some smaller schools as well. What advice would you give those guys, especially now with the transfer portal and everything? It's different from when we were coming out, but now with all of the exposure, even the HBCU exposure that has recently taken place, with Coach Prime going to Jackson State, just talk a little bit of advice that you'll give to some athletes on that bubble.
I think it can go two ways, because where I was the guy like I said, I wanted to play. So if you want to get that opportunity to play right now, go to whatever that place is that's giving you that opportunity. But I've got a guy that is like a little brother to me who his dream was to play Division I football, and he had other opportunities where he would have gone in and started as a freshman. But he wanted to play Division I football. He wanted that to fulfill that dream. So I think you just got to kind of look inside of yourself and what do I really want out of this opportunity? What do I want out of this experience? And if it is to play and it doesn't matter what surrounds that objective, then I think go where you're wanted.
Yeah.
if your dream is to simply play Division I football, that was just something that I didn't really relate to. Of course, I wanted to. That's everybody wants to play the highest level. But if that's what you want to do, then you've got to recognize that the odds are stacked against you if you're a walk on, and you've got to do things that you've never had to do before. You're going to have to beat out all of these guys that they are spending their money on.
Absolutely. And it might take a little extra time to actually get your shot, right?
Right. Because, I mean, you were able to go in and play right away, and most guys have to redshirt.
Yeah.
And then the next year maybe they don't even get their opportunity. So, I mean, you're seeing guys, especially now with COVID years happening from 2020. I mean, you're seeing guys not get their opportunity for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And the transfer portal is making things crazy.
Wild. Yeah.
So when I originally went to Guilford, I was like, well, I'm going to go there, play 1 year, and I'm going to transfer. And it sounds good,
right?
But in today's day and age, there are thousands and thousands of guys transferring. So you're a small fish in a very, very huge pond at that point.
That's real. Okay, let's reel it back and get back to your career. So you go to Guilford. Talk to us a little bit. How was your career overall at Guilford?
It was great. A lot of guys had the same idea I had and wanted to come in and play right now as freshmen. That our freshman year, 2012, and it showed because we had a lot of freshmen start and start all 4 years. So our offensively, I couldn't tell you how many offensive linemen started, but our quarterback was a freshman, and 4 out of the 5 receivers that would kind of rotate as starters were all freshmen.
Wow.
And we kept that same group all 4 years.
So that means your senior year, you guys had to, turn up and put
absolutely. On. By the time our junior year came around, our offensive coordinator he was phenomenal. He ended up being the offensive coordinator at North Carolina A&T as they were winning the Celebration Bowls.
Who was this?
Chris Barnett.
Chris Barnett. Shout out to Chris Barnett. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So by the time our junior season came around, he game planned so well and had us prep so well. By the time we stepped on the field, if it's 3rd and 7 and we're running Steamer's Cut or Gamecock, we knew what we were going to see, and we knew who was going to get the ball. We knew who the read was, even from the receiver perspective. We knew all those things. So being together for 4 years, our offense was phenomenal. We had my junior year, we had the most efficient 3rd down offense in the entire country out of all divisions, all levels of college football. We were, I think, low 60% on 3rd down conversions, which I couldn't tell you who was closest, but we had a graphic that it was all divisions. We were number 1. But individually, my career was really good. I had the opportunity to start 40 games in my career, which I'm so thankful for, and have the same quarterback start all 40 games as well.
That's wild.
Ended up being all conference every year of college and All-American twice. So, and hold the majority of the receiving records for Guilford College and a couple of conference records as well.
Man, that's awesome. So tell me, what was the hardest transition from high school to college?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is one of the hardest lessons that you had to go through while you were a student athlete at Guilford?
Well, I guess I didn't even address the fact I moved to receiver from quarterback.
Correct. Yeah.
I didn't even mention that. So I went to Guilford wanting to be a quarterback.
Okay.
And during camp, maybe week 2 of camp, somewhere in that first week or so, I had 3 straight days where we ran quarterback power, and I took it 75 yards straight up the middle.
Wow.
And it's like, great, I'm making plays in practice, but the coaches saw it a little different. They were like, okay, this guy, I wasn't excelling throwing the ball. I could throw it fine, but I just wasn't mentally where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So that was one difficult thing where I walked in and I was like, I played at Davie County High School powerhouse, and I was a quarterback. I was conference player of the year in high school.
Right.
Like, I'm good. I can be the starting quarterback. And to walk in and just not be as good as I thought I was.
It's
just
humbling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to know that at the time. And now I can look back and say that I had the ability, the physical ability, sure, but I just wasn't there.
What makes you come to that realization of realizing that I might not be as good as I thought I was coming in day one? Is it because the guys around you are throwing the ball and like looking really crisp, or the competition is better, or you know you're getting adjusted to a new ball or a new system? Like, what makes you come to that realization so quickly when you step into college? Because a lot of athletes go through that mental transition when they first get into college.
I think I was in denial, to be honest. I think I was, the classic, like, oh, I'm not getting my opportunity.
Yeah.
Like during the team periods, they're getting the good plays against cover 3.
For sure.
And so I think it took me maybe a full season or two to realize that. And what made me realize it was looking at our top 2 quarterbacks. I was like, I'm not making those like those guys. And they're processing things very well.
Yeah.
But I'm not making those plays as a quarterback. So that, unfortunately, I had to kind of get out of my own head and kind of deflate my ego a bit to recognize that I wasn't what I thought I was.
That's good. And I want to go back to something you said. You said that you were at quarterback when you first started, and you were able to run the quarterback power, and you took that thing 75 yards. So you're saying that your athleticism actually hindered you maybe a little bit in terms of staying at quarterback, because your coaches saw it a different way. They're like, you're thinking you're making plays as a quarterback, like I'm making plays with my legs as a quarterback, but your coaches are saying like, man, did you see what he just did? Like, how about we switch his position? That way we can have, a more proficient passer back there and still utilize your athleticism.
Right. And that's exactly what it was, because it was one of those, I guess, either the third day in a row or maybe that next evening. We always had a meeting after, at the very end of the night, at camp, you have that late night meeting. They give you like a pizza and go back to the room and go to sleep or something. So at that meeting, we all walk out, and I get a text from our offensive coordinator as soon as I hit the facility door. And he said, hey, I want to chat with you real quick. Come back. And I was like, oh, man. And I didn't know what it was, but it just didn't feel good.
Right.
So I turned around and I go back in, and he tells me that they want to start utilizing me at different positions, running back, quarterback, receiver. And the way he put it, he just said they wanted to get me the ball, which I was like, well, that's great. I want to play. I want to have the ball in my hand.
For sure.
So that's when I realized, like, these plays of them seeing me with the ball in my hands, they're seeing I'm doing something. And at the time I was conflicted because, yes, like I said, I want the ball, but is this going to scoop me away from that quarterback position? And ultimately it did. And ultimately it was probably the best thing that could have happened in my football career, because I think I would have been a fine quarterback at that level. But I mean, I wouldn't still be playing to this day.
Yeah.
So,
wow. And now you're 29, 29, still playing ball, right? Still doing what you love to do. So you transition from Guilford, and where did ball and life take you after that?
So I tried the whole pro day, draft, free agent process. I was really lucky because I did, at the Division III level, you have to dominate your competition to get any sort of attention.
Absolutely.
And so I was very lucky I was able to do that. And I had a really good mentor to kind of help me through the process of looking for an agent and talking to people. And that was Jimmy Lamore. Shout out to New Level Performance and Jimmy and Charlene Lamore. So I was able to sign with a really good agent that, to be honest, was probably a little bit out of my league. And was able to get a pro day at North Carolina Central.
Oh, nice.
A year that they had a corner get drafted in the 3rd round. So
yeah, that was Ryan. Ryan Smith. Yep.
And so I believe there were 28 or 29 of the 32 NFL teams at our pro day. So it was the perfect mix. I was working out 2 weeks before my pro day with some CFL players, and just didn't warm up before I was running routes and popped my hamstring. So, So when you're a Division III player at 5'10", 185, and you go run a 4.6 at your pro day, they just, and those teams told my agent, they said, yeah, we see that he ran this time 2 weeks ago, but we weren't
see
there.
It today.
So we didn't. Yeah. So it's like, we can't do anything about it.
Wow.
So Chase chased after some CFL stuff again after that, and tweaked my hamstring at a workout with the BC Lions when they told my agent that if he performs how we've seen on film, we'll sign him.
Wow.
So, I mean, of course, that happened again. And after that, I just took some time off. I was like, I need to allow my body to heal. And I got a coaching job at Hampton-Sydney College, coaching wide receivers there. Loved that, but I still wanted to play. So after 2 years there, I had some arena opportunity in my first year. The first time it didn't stick. It was a new game, didn't understand all of the intricacies. And then when I got a second opportunity during that same year, but just didn't think it was worth leaving that job for. So spent 2 years coaching there. And after 2 years, I was like, I got to start playing again.
Wow. So you took 2 years off
Mm-hmm.
from playing the game, and then finally you get an opportunity. Was with the Carolina Cobras?
That was with the Triangle Torch, which is a low-level team in Raleigh.
Okay.
And it was just my foot in the door. The head coach was a Guilford guy as well.
Oh, nice.
So it was a good connection. And
it's not about who you know. It's not about how did the saying go?
What you know, it's who you know.
Who you know. There you go. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know and who knows you, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And to this day, when people are like, how did you get into arena football? And it's connections. 100%.
Well, that's a big part of my life story. So Triangle and then Carolina Cobras.
Triangle Torch. The following year, Cape Fear Heroes in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Wow. So you've been around.
Mm-hmm.
You've been around North Carolina, huh?
Yes. And my first year with the Torch, they folded halfway through the season.
How was that?
Just stressful.
Yeah.
Because the organization was so unstable. Our game checks were half of what the league minimum was supposed to be.
Sheesh.
So it was just not very good. We were practicing at a baseball field at some community park. Our stadium got changed from being in Raleigh to in Kenansville.
Oh my God!
Which nobody in North Carolina knows where Kenansville is.
I have no idea. No idea where that is.
Yeah, it was in a barn is where we were essentially playing.
Wow. How does that weigh mentally on an athlete? Like you get to play professional football, but you're at the lowest probably level,
right?
And then you're going through challenges in that level. Like, what does that do for you guys mentally?
I mean, I think I was very lucky to be local to the area and have like a stable job. I was teaching high school at the time. So I think it probably didn't weigh on me as much as it did the guys who were really throwing their whole life into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of guys moved their life, don't have a job, and they moved to this area to not know that housing isn't ready, that meals aren't taken care of, things like that. So that's why so many of these arena football organizations don't last, is because things aren't stable and you don't have the money for it. And that's why the good ones stick around for so long, because they do take care of the guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're following your dream, and guys are willing to give up so much of this stuff. They're willing to endure all of this stress and all of this craziness because of that little bit of hope that it's going to advance you one more level.
Yeah. That's good. No, that's good. Well, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you to be the first person on the show, literally, I want to talk about this season for you. I'm big on purpose over position. And when I say purpose over position, it doesn't mean that your position doesn't matter. Your position absolutely matters. But what I'm saying is there's a greater purpose in why you're in that position and why you might be going through that situation, right? And you had a situation this year that I really want the listeners to hear from you about this situation, because this is pretty big, pretty traumatic, and pretty like life-changing, and it could go in so many different ways. So could you just walk us through this year for you and how you overcame, what happened this year and how you overcame?
Yeah. So my first 2 years with the Cobras were disappointing as an individual, because I never felt like I completely got my opportunity, and every time I got my opportunity, I did well with it. So that was kind of the frustrating thing for me. And this past season, I knew it was my time. based on the roster that we had, based on just the entire situation. I knew it was my time to step up and take the opportunity and run with it.
Yeah.
So was really training hard this offseason, was training smart, was training with great other players. So, I mean, we were together at least about once a week.
Yeah. Adam is one of the hardest working guys I know. He would text me every week like, hey, can we meet up here? Can we meet up here? He's also a school teacher, right? So you would get out at what,
2:30?
2:30, and he'll drive an hour to meet me in DC, and we'll get after it. And he's one of the hardest workers I know. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
So I was, just working. I was doing all the things I needed to do. I was prepping myself. I was putting everything into it, because you just never know. Like you had mentioned earlier, you never know when these things are going to end. You never know where life is going to take you. So maybe, when was it? Sometime in the late winter, if I'm not mistaken. I remember the date exactly, but I'm blanking on it. But it was near some holiday. Either way.
Thanksgiving, was it around that time? Because I know you and I were working. It might have been Christmas. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas, because we were still running routes and stuff in November, I feel like.
So maybe, I guess it was probably somewhere between January and December and February. So somewhere in there. And that's really like prime time to get prepped for our spring seasons. Yeah. Is like that winter time. It's like where you tighten up all the little.
Because your season starts April?
We started, camp in April.
Yeah.
So.
And you were still trying out for the USFL.
Right, yeah.
XFL, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Had a private workout with the XFL, so I was hoping something shook with that.
Yeah.
And one night, there was 1 week where I started to just feel a little bit of chest tightness. And I'm a stressful guy, so I just thought it was anxiety weighing on me. And it usually, if that had happened, it'd go away in like 2-3 days, and it wasn't a big deal. It would just kind of give just a little pain in my chest, but nothing crazy. And this time it just wasn't going away. It was maybe 3-4 days, and it was starting to get worse and worse. And I lay down to go to sleep one night, and when I lay down, it's just like this unbearable pain in my chest. Hard to breathe. Tried to just sleep through it and couldn't sleep. So I wake my wife up around 1:00 in the morning, maybe midnight. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. Something's wrong. This isn't normal. This isn't right. So we go to the ER and spend, I think it was 14 hours in the ER, just waiting. And I ended up having a heart condition of a sort that essentially causes swelling in the sac that surrounds your heart. So my heart was healthy, all of that, but it was just the surrounding tissue around the heart was inflamed. And
how did your wife take that news?
She was more positive than I was, actually.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't have expected. I thought that she would have been more cautious. But I think she was putting on a brave face for me for the most part.
That's your support, right?
Right. And because I was like, I before we went, we Googled all the symptoms and stuff, and she was like, it looks like it's this. And so we look at the stuff, and it's like, okay, it's not a big deal. Like, so when they told me that at the ER, I was like, all right, that's fine. That's cool. So what do I do? And when they started telling me like, no exercise, this and this, until you go see the cardiologist next week. So I was like, okay, I can take a week, not a big deal. And then I go to the cardiologist the following week, and they tell me I can't do anything for, I forget the exact time frame, but it was at least a month. And so that's when I started to stress out, because in arena football, the play clock is quick. You're playing.
Oh, yeah.
In our league, you don't come off the field for Ironman football but once a quarter.
Wow.
So I was like, I need to be in shape. I can't like take a whole month off. So I was doing a lot of my own like scholarly Google research, and from what I saw, it's like I think it was once symptoms go away you can work yourself back into exercise.
Mm.
So I was like, I'm going to be fine. Just when these symptoms go away, I'm going to give it a few days. And I did. And that's when we met up to throw that day.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, let me just stop you because, the heart is a pretty serious thing.
Yes.
Right. And the heart is a very precious thing. Now you got a heart condition, and we know there's some horror stories out there about, athletes who have maybe passed away doing conditioning and training and even in the middle of games and all that good stuff. Like, was there any thoughts at all of you in the back of your head thinking like, I might be done, like this is it? Just like, any thoughts there?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like this football has been the most important thing to me my whole life. To a fault. And when this stuff comes up, it's like my life has to be more important than this. Like, it has to be.
For sure.
I don't want it to be, but it has to be. Like, I can't die because of this. So that was the scary thing, is it's like my football career is going to be over, and it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my ability, my choices, nothing. I can't control it. So that was the scary thing, is I can't control this outcome.
Because we want to determine when we're going to end,
Exactly.
right? And that's where, but in reality, most guys don't ever get to make that decision, right? You either get cut, you get injured. The phone is not, no more calls. In fact, you and I, if there wasn't an arena league, or if there wasn't these new XFL, USFL leagues, we probably even wouldn't ever still be playing to this day, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
wow. So you go through the heart, you go to the doctor, and they tell you about the around your heart, all that. You sat out for, I think it was 6 weeks, maybe. You might have sat out for. And I remember us having conversations during that time, and I remember like specifically praying for you and all of those good things. But here's the thing that I remember most. I remember, kind of like what you said with your wife. I wanted to be that support for you, and not be negative at all, because it seemed like you wanted to keep pursuing ball.
100%.
So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna walk with this brother. I'm gonna support this brother. All right. I'm gonna be praying for this dude, and I'm praying for you. But if I have to be honest, there was a little on the inside of me like, and I don't know about this, like, a heart is serious, and football is not worth it compared to your life, right? So just give us some thoughts, talk about like, what were you going through that time that you were sitting out, and then also when we got back together.
Right. So that was a time where I was an emotional roller coaster. I mean, I was hopeful for moments, and then the world's going to end at sometimes. But a lot of what that time period showed me was that as much as I want to, I can't control everything. I can't control the things that my body does, the way this world goes. I can't control it. And it definitely made me realize that I cannot treat football as this idol. And I mean, like I said, I love football to a fault, and still do. But it made me realize that this can't be everything.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's a word right there.
I can't put this over my life. I can't put this over my family, because I've done it for so long.
For sure.
I've put it number one for so long. I mean, it was above school. It was above my social life. It was above everything. You and I are similar in the way we conduct ourselves, and we've given up many, many things that other people don't give up.
Man, absolutely. I'm gonna just say a point in there. This year I turned 30 in April, right? And I didn't even know it, but my wife, she was telling me that she got like a surprise for me or whatever. And I didn't know what it was, but then I get a call late to join the USFL Philadelphia Stars, and I found out later that she actually had a whole surprise birthday party for me at a yacht, and everybody's gonna be on the boat, like, and it's there to celebrate me for my 30th birthday, and I missed that opportunity to play ball. You know what I mean? So like now I got to live with that a little bit. But
yeah, you reminded me of that, because like those are the real things that as athletes we miss out on, those opportunities maybe to connect with our family more, or
Right.
maybe to be present more, and all of those good things.
Yeah. And like the same thing happened with me this year for my 29th, but my wife had planned a trip, and like and I wasn't even with her for my birthday. I was in Odessa, Texas playing in a game.
Wow.
So she texts me this plan for the birthday, like this, she makes this like graphic thing, a
Yeah.
Canva design,
Yeah.
and like explains everything. And it all comes to caveat. It's like, because I don't know where this football schedule is
Right.
going. And
Right.
so it's just, yeah. And we don't think twice about it.
No,
is
we
the
don't.
wild
We're
thing.
trained, man. We've
Yeah.
been trained since. When did you start playing?
Third. So I wasn't allowed to play in first and second grade.
Okay.
So I was a water boy.
Okay.
And then third grade.
So you was
we were allowed
around
to
the
play.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But third grade it was on and popping.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, that's cool. Now I cut you off, so I'm sorry, but you were mentioning now getting back, right? That time that you was away, mentally processing all that, making the game of football an idol, right? You had to really do some soul searching during that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was tough because thankfully I'm at a stage in my life and I got an education to where I'm able to reflect on myself, and I have a wife that has pushed me to do that. So I was able to see the ugly in myself, and it's not something you always want to see.
For
You
sure.
don't want to point those things out in yourself. So that was the tough thing, is coming to peace with, I'm going to do exactly what I'm supposed to do to recover, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. But all I can know is I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I kept all of my priorities straight, and then I have to be at peace with it because that's all I can control.
That's good. Let's talk about your faith during that part. What during that time? What did that do for your faith?
Just made it stronger. Because being so infatuated with the game, that would be all I think about. So as I go to, even as a teacher, teaching comes natural to me. So it's very easy. The lesson planning, like all that, it's very easy. So I don't have to put much thought into it. But when I'm at school during my planning periods, it's like, okay, I got everything handled for tomorrow's classes or whatever. It's like, all right, time for me to plan my workout. Time for me to organize, text Vad or text Guy, like see who can throw, what times. And so it just allowed me it forced me to take my brain off of football and put it to other things that might matter more. So it allowed me to be home more. It allowed me to connect more with family. It allowed me to just reflect and make myself better.
That's good, bro.
Outside of football.
Yeah, I just want to encourage you really quick, because I believe, like hearing your story now, I believe that was very purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very purposeful time that, obviously God is not the author of making these bad things happen in our lives, but he allows them to, right? And he allowed you to go through that for a reason. I truly believe that's going to help set you up for when you are done with the game of football. You will be able to live peacefully knowing that you gave everything that you had, right? Because you just said in those words that you realize that I'm going to do everything I can to get back, to get healthy, to take a pause, right? And I know how hard you work, so I know it was very challenging for you not to do anything, right? Because when your 6 weeks was done, that first day, I think we were probably back on the field throwing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about that. I remember us throwing on the field, and all I'm thinking in the back of my head, I can't be the one responsible for this dude falling out. Like, I think I talked to my wife about it. Like, I'm about to go work out with Adam for the first time. And this is the first time since like 6 weeks. He's been chilling, trying to, make sure his heart gets better. And I'm like, but what if this dude like go too hard and just pass out on me? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Talk about that, and even talk about how you managed your heart while we were throwing.
Yeah. So I was so scared.
Were you?
I was so scared.
You didn't show it.
I think the first thing I did, I want to say maybe that first week where I started to like look into working out and like starting to get my body back right. all I wanted to do was make sure that like everything was kind of together. So I wanted to make sure all of my muscles were like firing just a little bit. Wanted to make sure my stability was there. I wasn't trying to go hard because I was basing it off of some study, the way I was progressing into my workouts, because my cardiologist had no guidance. Unfortunately, she tried to hook me up with, I think it was the Wizards cardiologist, and he was not taking any patients at the time, and he couldn't give me any guidance over the phone or virtually. So I kind of took it upon myself to find this return to play guidance. And so what I was essentially tracking was my heart rate. The entire time for, I think, that first week, I was trying to keep my heart rate. The guidance said below 100 during my exercise, and I was trying to keep it as low as possible. But during that first week, I was just light stretching, like very slow exercises, again, just to make sure like my muscles are working. Because at that time, I was like, I know my strength will be fine. It'll come back. My speed will be fine. But I was worried about injury. Like
Right.
I didn't want to go cut on turf and my knee not be strong enough and to tear something, or an ankle or a shoulder, concussion, things like that. So week after week, I would progress to the next piece of the little graphic. I had it saved on my phone, and I deleted it as fast as I felt comfortable after it because it was traumatic for me.
Yeah.
But every week I would progress just a little bit, whether it was more exercises, more intense exercises, but always keeping track of my heart rate. So that was it made me feel better because I was tracking it and I felt like I was doing it the perfect way.
Yeah. And so this dude would literally, like, let's paint this picture for them. When you say tracking it, we're out on the field, we're throwing, and after each route that you run, he plays receiver. So of course your heart rate is going to go up after running, really fast and breaking and cutting and stuff. But after every rep, how would you track it?
So yeah, after you throw me the ball, I'd catch it, I'd throw it back to you or whatever. I would immediately look down at my wrist because I took my wife's Apple Watch. So
So that wasn't even your Apple
right,
Watch.
no.
That's hilarious.
So I'd sit there and wait on it because it would have a small delay and it would jack up, and then I would wait for it to go down. And week after week, I'd push it a little more with my recovery time. But I mean, there were times where we'd run a deep route, and as soon as I'd catch it, I'd lay down and like allow that heart rate to come back. So
yeah, I remember that. Wow. It's like, as a quarterback, I'm trained to, like, all right, we don't do much running out there, so we can throw the ball all day. Right. So I'm trained to, like, get these receivers in shape, like, hey, let's go to the next rep. But again, in the back of my head, I'm like, yo, I can't be the reason why this dude like just fall out in front of me. So that was very unique. But it also showed me that you really cared. It also showed me that you were taking the necessary steps and, taking the necessary precautions to make sure that you are better and that you are on track with where you need to be. We're getting ready to close. So I want to mention, so you go through that at the beginning of 2023 this year, you go through that, right? And then your season starts and you not only played, you didn't tell anybody about your situation, right?
Right. I kind of kept it a secret from really most people in general. I shouldn't have. I mean, it wasn't the smart thing to do. It wasn't the responsible thing to do. But
you're thinking about your football career.
Right.
You're thinking about, like,
I didn't want to give people ammo to shoot me down, essentially.
Yeah.
And the last time I had visited my doctor, she said, you have defeated it. You have beaten this. You are recovered.
Wow.
So
what was that like? What was that like hearing those words?
Complete relief. Because from all of our visits, she did not want me to be playing football.
Okay.
She was very nervous about it. And luckily the timeline lined up to the beginning of camp. I'm good. So when she told me I'm recovered, I've defeated it. You beat this. She said, it's gone. So that was kind of what was in my mind. It's like, there's nothing here to talk about. There's nothing here to tell people about.
That's good. That's a good word right there. There's
There's nothing here. You defeated it. You beat it.
Yeah.
Right. Man, that's such a spiritual word that could preach right there.
Yes.
So I know you felt really good. Now, were you still tracking yourself and tracking your heart during camp?
So I wasn't in camp because of my living situation
Okay.
being here, but the report day, I drove down to North Carolina and I got a bunch of guys to go work out because I wanted to get working with one of our new quarterbacks. So that day was the day I really pushed it because I was like, if I wake up tomorrow and I'm hurting, then
It's
I'm
gonna be a
not
long
ready.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to know now
Yeah.
if I'm ready or if I just can't do this. So we went to an indoor facility that we use, and I went normal. I did what I could. I tracked my heart rate, and watched it go up and watched it come back. So I watched it recover the way it needed to. But I pushed it, and I was scared. I was scared to go sit in the car afterwards and recover. I was scared to wake up the next day and feel pain, but I didn't. So that might have been the last time I tracked it.
Okay.
Was at the very beginning of camp.
Wow. And so after that, you kind of just went normal, didn't think about it much. Was it in the back of your head as the season started? You're playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're in the motion of things, football is fun, so you might kind of forget about those small things, I guess.
Right.
What was it like playing this season?
Once the season got started, I began to forget about it.
Yeah.
The first game that I played a lot in, I was a little nervous because I knew I would barely come out of the game.
Because you in Ironman and NAL, you
Mhm.
guys play on both sides.
Right. You play both sides, and if you come out, you can only go back in one time before you're done for the quarter. So essentially, I would start the quarter and come out maybe on the second defensive drive. Other than that, I'm in the whole quarter.
Wow.
So I was nervous that game, but after I did that, because I wasn't practicing as much as the other guys
because you live in Maryland
Right.
and the team is in North Carolina.
Yes, and I was teaching, so the organization respected my career as a teacher. So I wasn't out there running around with the guys. I was like, I'm not in the best shape, but if I can do this, and after I did that, I was like, oh, I'm good.
You're good.
Like I can play a whole game and not be in great shape, and I'm fine. I'm good.
So, Adam, you started this year off with a very scary heart condition, and then you ended the season playing for the NAL championship. And not only that, you had one of the best seasons, probably the best season of your professional football career.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Like I've worked my whole life, and I never stopped. I was blessed with some very good abilities. I also worked for some of the abilities that I have. So it was just that persistence of staying true to doing things the right way. I look back and just some of the things we've sacrificed in college. I didn't go party. I didn't drink. I've never smoked. I've never done a drug. Like I've given up all these things that guys do, and I look back and don't regret it because
Yeah.
I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve for the most part. So, and when the moment came for me this year, like I anticipated it would, like the thing that was breaking my heart when this thing came, or my heart started to act
Literally.
up, is I have this opportunity, and now, but when the opportunity came this year, I savored it. The first opportunity I got, I scored the first 2 plays of the game.
Wow.
Ended up scoring 4 touchdowns, receiving 4 touchdowns, and kind of solidified myself. And yeah, so I seized the opportunity. I had phenomenal teammates, and I think the best coach in the league, and was able to be all NAL receiver and statistically one of the best kick returners in the league. So,
Man, that's awesome. Well, 2 more questions. The last football question would be, what was it like for you after going through that experience of hearing the doctor, diagnose you with a certain heart condition, to then finally playing for the NAL championship? What was that like? Just take us through that experience.
so by the championship, by that weekend, I mean, I had forgotten about the whole heart situation. But at some point during that weekend, I want to say my wife flew down to Jacksonville for the game. And I want to say I was talking to her. Like I went to meet her after she had landed. And I was, just emotional in that time where it's like the last game of the year. It's a big one. And I was like, I was never sure that I was going to be here. Like I was not sure that this was going to happen. And it kind of came full circle right there where it's like, man, a few months ago, I was scared to death that I'd never play this game again, that I'd never be able to work out again because is this ever going to go away? And then I'm playing at what I think is the coolest venue in arena football for the championship. So, I mean, just like, gives you those chills. It gives you the goosebumps that you want. It gives you that feel that you're like in a movie and you went through this hard time, this climax of negative events, and then at the end of the movie, something great happens.
Yeah.
So, it just felt like I had earned where I had gotten, and I was just thankful for the experiences that that could have held me back.
Yeah.
But I didn't allow to.
Yeah, man. No, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome, man. Well, it's been fun being able to sit here and interview you and just be able to chop it up and talk about the hard things that happen in football, right? The behind the scene things. This literally was a behind the scene thing because you didn't tell anybody. There was not many people that knew about it. Of course, you told me and a couple other guys that you were working out with, but this literally was something that you were dealing with and that you had to overcome within yourself. So that leads me to ask you, when you hear purpose over position, what does that mean to you specifically when you hear that?
So now after last year, it does mean something different to me. So the position to me is like something I thought about over the last few years is the way I portray myself, specifically social media and kind of just to the general public. Is the football Adam, like this football player. So when I think position, that's what I think is like this position that the community generally sees me as is Adam, the football guy. So when people back home, they see me like, you still playing football? It's like, that's the first thing. And that's great. Because I love football, and that's kind of what I've made my identity to be. But after going through all of that this year and just reflecting on my life the past few years, I have a purpose that is connected to football, but it has nothing to do with football at the same time. So my purpose, what I've wanted my purpose to be in life is to impact other people positively, help people with whatever it is they want to do. So whether that's coaching, training, teaching, just building relationships. And I found that in teaching, and I found that in other avenues. So purpose over position to me means that my purpose in life is bigger than what I always thought it was. Because growing up, I thought it was like football, football. So my purpose in life is greater than me, essentially. It's greater than what I want it's greater than my image. It's about others.
Man, that's good. That's powerful, bro. Well, man, this has been a treat, man. I feel like we could talk for probably a couple more hours. But I know that'll probably be bad for viewers and listeners. But, we continue to dialogue and talk offline and everything. And obviously, we're going to continue to work out and get it in as well. We don't know where this football journey is taking us next and this life journey in general. But I know that you are better because of it, right? I know that you are a better man, and you're a better husband because of it. And when you guys decide to pop out that child one day, you'll be a better father because of it as well. So it's been a joy to have you on and literally be the first one on the podcast. So to my listeners, thank you guys so much for the opportunity of allowing us to step into your home, to step into your earbuds or whatever, to just give this podcast a view. I hope that you subscribe to this. We're going to have more guests. And if you're an athlete out there that has a story, which we all do, and you want to be a part of the podcast, please feel free to hit me up. Go to
vadspeaks.com, VADSPEAKS.com. You can find me there. And please subscribe to this. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And thank you, Adam, for being on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me always.
Yes, sir. See you guys.